My name is Evan Kramer, and my topic is police brutality. Police brutality is an issue that has plagued our country for a long time. Tensions between American citizens and police officers are rising, so much so that people are starting to become afraid of the police. People interact with officers every day and should not be apprehensive or scared of the police. This topic is very important to me because my grandfather was a deputy sheriff for almost 20 years. I hope to follow in his footsteps and become a police officer myself after I graduate college. Personally, I support police officers wholeheartedly. However, I'm not going to pretend that there are not many bad cops out there. Police brutality does exist, and there are bad cops in the world, though they are not as common as social media suggests. People most commonly blame police brutality on racism, racial profiling, prejudices, etc. And some people make very compelling arguments. However, in 2018, there were over 600,000 full-time police officers in the United States. That same year, there were only 996 fatal police shootings. Of those 996 people, 399 of them were white and only 209 were black, according to the Statista Research Department. If racism were truly a problem among American law enforcement, these numbers would be very different. Though bad cops do exist, they are few and far between. When they are caught, they are dealt with accordingly. One example of this is former Oklahoma City police officer Daniel Holtzclaw. According to an article by Kaylee Douglas on KFOR News, Holtzclaw was charged with 36 counts of felony rape, sexual battery, indecent exposure, and forcible sodomy on 13 different women. Holtzclaw was convicted on 18 of the 36 counts and sentenced to 263 years in prison. Holtzclaw got the punishment he deserved and will spend the rest of his life behind bars. There are thousands of police officers that do their job correctly every day across the country. However, when one officer makes a mistake, it taints society's view of the whole profession. Every time a police officer makes a mistake, they face a wave of backlash and scrutiny from their community. Police officers are humans too, and they make mistakes just like you and me. Every department in the United States uses different training tactics, and every officer will react differently when put into high-pressure scenarios. It is easy to point fingers and say that the officer could have reacted differently to the situation. However, we were not there. We did not feel the adrenaline and the intensity of the scenario. It is impossible for us to experience the same pressure and understand the officer's thoughts. Former Tulsa Police Sergeant Jim Clark said this in an interview on CNN following the accidental shooting of Eric Courtney Harris. You can train someone as much as you can, and you can train in every area you can. But in times of crisis, sometimes training is not going to take you through the scenario. In this incident, Reserve Deputy Sheriff Robert Bates accidentally and fatally shot Eric Courtney Harris after grabbing his revolver rather than his taser. In the body camera footage, you can hear Bates call out, "Taser, taser, taser," before a gunshot, followed by Bates dropping his gun and instantly apologizing. Bates was sentenced to 4 years in prison, the maximum sentence for this case. This is just one example of the tragic mistakes officers can make and the pressure that they face every day. These accidents, no matter how big or small, have major consequences for police officers and could even cost them their career. People who do not like the police will go to extreme lengths to make officers look as bad as possible. It is easy to take a 3-minute clip of an unarmed black man being thrown on the ground, arrested, and posted on Twitter and call it police brutality. However, that 3-minute clip does not show the hour-long chase that may have led up to his arrest, the murder or robbery he may be running from, the warrants out for arrest, his criminal history, or if he's under the influence of any drugs. It is impossible to know what happened prior to the arrest, or if the officer's actions are completely justified. There are countless examples of this on Twitter that go viral almost every day. These accusations of police brutality quickly become viral by getting shared, liked, retweeted, eventually reaching millions of people and tainting their views of police. Police departments take these kinds of allegations very seriously, and most of the time they launch an investigation when said tweets get lots of attention. The results of these investigations are posted on the police's social media page along with the body camera footage and can easily be found with a little bit of research. However, very few people, if any, take the time to do their research and instead believe what they see on Twitter. Now, I'm not trying to say that every video you see on Twitter is fake. Some of those posts are very real and deserve a lot of attention. However, you should do some research into the video before you believe everything that you see, because these false allegations are very important and can have a bigger impact than you may expect. When a police officer is accused of something wrong or unjust, not only do they get suspended from their job, but it also plants a seed of hate in people's minds. When someone becomes surrounded by these anti-police posts, it causes that seed to grow and could possibly turn into something very dangerous. One example of this is Micah Xavier Johnson. Micah was an African-American male and military veteran that served in Afghanistan. On July 7th, 2016, he opened fire on a group of police officers at a Black Lives Matter protest in Dallas, Texas. Micah killed 5 officers and severely wounded 7 others. Johnson's goal was to target as many white officers as possible as a form of revenge for cops killing black men. Investigators later found that Johnson followed multiple anti-police pages on social media, according to NBC News. Now, I'm not saying that if you follow a bunch of anti-police pages, you're going to become a cop killer. But these pages do fuel the hate toward police officers and further separate the divide between American citizens and officers, which is already at an all-time high. Police brutality is a real issue, and it has plagued our country for a long time. However, it is not near as common as the media makes it out to be. Officers are humans too. They make mistakes like the rest of us. But one officer's mistake should not change your opinion about all officers. It is easy to point fingers and say what the officer could have done differently, but we're not there, and we can never experience the same things that the officer did. The posts that you see on Twitter have a deeper impact than you may realize and could even cost an officer their life. I hope you will consider all of these things next time you see a video of police brutality online. Maybe then we can start to close the divide between citizens and police officers. Thank you for your time.